chose not to go back to sleep because I had to start watching this.
What's up, guys? We are live.
Yo.
Oh,
What's good?
God.
All right,
You
we're
know
back
what's
for
good?
some. What's that?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones is good.
Are we doing Game of Thrones or are we doing some heavy metal? I don't know.
Game of Thrones today.
Yeah, it's Game of Thrones.
Okay. Okay. This is the end of the Game of
Yes.
Thrones, man.
It was
Dude,
a
what
long
a-
journey.
What a good rewatch. Let's not waste any tasty material here. Let's get ready. Let's get on with the pod.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
Good. Pull it.
Hello, and welcome to Three Guys and a Mic presents Game of Thrones, Season 7 and 8. I'm your co-host, the Human Dart, along with...
Jason Tsunami.
And David Disaster.
Yo.
Why do I feel like we just ran a marathon?
Man,
Because you watched like an entire season and some change in one day.
I did. God damn. Don't
whenever
ever do
we've
that.
definitely known that we were going to be doing this for like at minimum 2 months, because it's taken us that long to get through this whole process, and we knew I think a month before that. So
You know, the worst part is I actually had a head start on season 7, and I was on pace. I thought to start season 8 like Friday, and it didn't happen. Saturday, I worked a double. It didn't happen. Sunday, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna knock out a few episodes today. It's my Friday. Here we go. Didn't do a damn thing. Woke up this morning at 4:15 with the baby, and I was like, I've got to get started.
and then all of a sudden, this podcast feels like a second full-time job.
It was
Jesus.
like, dude, it's like winter is coming, and you're the Dothraki, and you just do it all at once.
Yeah, I was watching the clock at around 2:00, thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this. I literally finished.
Just like in life, Jason, you always finish.
Yes, I finished the finale.
As a man,
As a
what we
as a man, one can only apologize when he's wrong.
Right about 30 minutes before we went live.
oh my god,
You're the king of the North, Jason.
Ooh, it was
yeah.
brutal.
So, hopefully, for those following along here, you've heard us talk about the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones, and you know that we're doing a little retrospective here of all the seasons leading up to next week, finally, where we get the new Game of Thrones series, House of the Dragon.
A fucking year.
Super excited about that, and look, I've been waiting for this particular episode because, look, these are the two most
Contentious?
criticized seasons of the show. Yeah. And, I've been really interested to hear everybody's opinion about, what do they think this time around? Because last time, we're watching it week by week, right? So you have all this time to dissect it. And it's the biggest show in the world, and it's held to this unimaginable standard, right?
Right.
And, this time around, we actually got to binge the whole thing, very, very quickly here. So, going back, rewatching the 2 seasons, 1, did you feel like they were better than you remember? And 2, do you feel like you benefited any from actually, being able to binge it versus having to, sit and digest it for 2 months?
So I'll start. So season 7 specifically, I think was better on the rewatch for me. I had memories of it being noticeably worse than 7, and while than 6, I'm sorry. And while it is not as good as 6, I think for sure not as good as 6.
6 is the gold standard, so
Yeah, but I think it's better than what I remember. Season 8 has some things that I think were better on the rewatch, just some aspects of the story. But for me, I think season 8 was kind of a letdown as I remembered it.
I would say I enjoyed season 7 the first time through. It was just as
I did
good.
too. I don't remember not liking it.
Yeah, just as good this time through And I have been a defender of season 8, mostly because of the weight of the first 3 episodes, and I still feel vindicated.
Okay. Okay. Season 7 I think is really, really good. I have it high on my list in terms of like best seasons of the show. I have it ranked pretty high. Season 8, it was way better than what I remember it being. I still just get so hung up on just Bran the fucking broken. I can't get over it. I just can't. And I'm just watching season 8, constantly thinking and knowing that we're going to that moment, and it's just going to be like just a massive fucking eye roll. What do you think I came all this way? Hey, shut up! Like, goddamn, dude. Like, have a little like humility. Like, hey, I'm glad to accept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Jason and I are Jason's rereading them. I'm reading the books for the first time, and in preparation for maybe George R. R. Martin will release the next book next year, potentially, maybe, possibly, and I'm really anticipating knowing where the books go, because there's just no chance it could be as like cobbled together as of an ending as what we got. Like, I'm confident even if Bran sits on the throne in the books, there's no way it'll be as clunky as what it is in the show. Yeah, man, that last episode of like the season 8 finale to me is so borderline awful. Actually,
it is hands down
one of the worst episodes of all time in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and in a show that, I mean, could you name 5 bad episodes?
No. I think that's me and Dave have talked about this. I am not in the camp of the hating the Dan and Dave, the showrunners. They got to a certain point in the show, and in my opinion, they just ran out of material.
Look,
George R. R. Martin dropped the ball.
I don't think people criticize them for season 6 and 7. Some people might, but I think overall season 6 and 7, which
very good,
which doesn't have a lot of book material, if any, is very good.
Correct.
But I think season 8, I put the blame on them. There are some decisions that are made in season 8 that are just laughably like, what is going on?
I'll agree with you. The first 3 episodes, in my opinion, are extremely strong, and then the last 3 are like, we have no idea what we're doing. And to what Josh said, which I guess was kind of my point, was if you could even name 5 bad episodes. Well, in my opinion, there's just 3 subpar episodes. They all happen to be the last 3, and the very final episode is the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, look, in whole, I'm super excited that we went back and rewatched this. Even going back with the Bran the Broken stuff, I don't feel like, maybe it's because I knew it was coming, so I just wasn't as like upset whenever I discovered it the first time. So I feel like going back and rewatching it has actually helped the show for me a little bit. Raise a little higher up on the list.
Yeah.
I don't think I hold the Bran thing against it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Do we want to talk about 6 and 7 first, and then we rank them, or how do we want to do that?
Yeah. So let's let Jason do the recap for 7 and 8 here, and then I don't know. You want to do the rankings last, or you want to do the rankings right after the recap?
I figure we just get the rankings out of the way after the recap, and then we can just talk about 7 and 8.
Fossil,
All right.
Bust open that last recap.
All right, here we go. Game of Thrones, season 7 and 8. Season 7 is Gathering Before the Storm. Season 7 sees many of our characters finally come together for the realms of men. Jon the King in the north goes south to try and ally with Dany, leaving Sansa as warden in the north. In doing so, they come together, and with the return of Ser Jorah hatch a plan to bring the South into the fold against the Night King. Also, claiming Dragon Glass at this meeting point, Dragonstone, to forge weapons in the upcoming battle. Arya and Bran both make it back to Winterfell, which ultimately leads to the execution of Littlefinger. In the mission that we mentioned to earlier, to the north, Dany loses a dragon to the Night King's lance. That dragon is then rezzed to undead and ends up destroying part of the wall, leading basically the army, the undead, on the march into the south. Of course, the plan to join with Cersei is for naught, and Jaime leaves to join the fight in the north. The war is built up over the first 2 episodes of the final season. All of our characters eventually making it to Winterfell for the showstopper episode 3 in season 8, The Long Night. A battle spectacular stretching for an hour and a half, and Arya dealing the deciding blow. The last 3 episodes are the assault on King's Landing. Dany loses yet another dragon along the way, but it doesn't matter. With every chance that Cersei had, she buried herself deeper. Dany takes the city and burns it to the ground. The horror of most of our favorite characters. Dany is finally betrayed pretty much by everybody, including Jon Snow, who ends her life. In the end, the North becomes independent, and Bran the Broken is named king. Jon is exiled to the North, reuniting with Tormund and Ghost, leading the free folk to the real North. I tried to keep it short and sweet, like the seasons were.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even
though HBO would have given them 2 more seasons if they wanted it.
Yeah, 2 more seasons and like 3 more episodes per season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Okay. No, thank you for that recap, Jason. Overall, regardless of what we say from this point forward, I think this is the greatest show ever presented on television. And this show is part of the reason that inspired us to do this podcast. So I'm glad it exists, even if it's somewhat flawed ending, left a bad taste in my mouth. So
yeah. Dave, give us your. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna give our season rankings. What, best to last, or
I was saying
start with the worst.
I figured worst to first.
Do it.
So you want to give my whole list? Yeah.
Or do we want to go back and forth? Should have thought this out.
Back and forth. Let's just do back and forth. Let's just pull the trigger. Season 8, I think, is the worst season. I don't personally think it's even close. Even if I slightly disagree with Jason. He says that it only has 3 bad episodes. I think it has cumulatively 3.5. But that's nitpicky. But when half of your season is not good, there's no other season in Game of Thrones that can say that. So it has to be the worst for me.
Yeah, I have season 8 as well.
Okay, well, I went with, let's see. I believe, I know I might end up being wrong probably, but I'm going to go with I think it's season 5. That one centers a lot on the High Sparrow storyline, with the best episode being Hardhome. Now, there are plenty of great things that happened during that season, but for me, I just hate the High Sparrow storyline so much.
Yikes!
And the final, the first 3 episodes of season 8 for me are so good that I couldn't put that season last. Me and Dave talked about this. That's fine. He can disagree. That's fine.
All right,
Dave.
I have season 1, and look, I just want to reiterate. There is a fairly large gap between 8 and 1 for me. 8 is in the dumpster tier, and season 1 is still among some of the best television. So
yeah, I also have season 1 right there. Look, season 1 is better. It's way better the second and third time you watch it, just because now you know all the characters,
exactly.
You know where everybody's going. The first time through, it's tough, and I hope the first time through House of the Dragon here is not quite as hard. I know it's going to be. I know there's going to be a ton of characters, but season 1 does get better on rewatches.
Well, we know their last names, which helps, right? So we're going to be able to recognize houses.
Yeah, at least they're all Targaryens.
Yeah. I went with season 8 right here.
Okay.
I love the first 3 episodes. They are absolutely fantastic. Even on the rewatch, I could watch those first 3 episodes multiple times.
Okay.
All right.
I went with season 2 here. I had something else here. I flipped it. Season 2 is still very good. Yeah, it's a very good season. Slightly better than season 1. It's kind of, that's the Stark season. And also the Blackwater season as well. I think a very, very, very good season.
Yeah. I had season 5 here. I agree with Jason on the High Sparrow storyline being a bit of a bummer, but definitely not the worst season.
Jason, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. This is where I had season 1. Very plotting, heavy character introductions. And then it ends with the hardest death to watch, in my opinion, as far as characters that I still have not quite gotten over.
Don't jump ahead. I have a question later for that.
All right.
Okay. I have here on the 4th from the bottom spot, I have season 7. So this one graduated. This was my it went up 1 spot basically. I've come more to appreciate season 7. I think season 7 is very strong. Basically, from this point forward, I would consider this like, anywhere from A to S tier television for me.
This could be a bit of a hot take here, but I've got season 3.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Number 5 spot, huh?
Look, it's a good season. The Red Wedding, man, it's tough, man. I hate seeing Rob and his mom and everybody get cut up.
I agree. And the 5 spot for me is season 2. This is actually kind of like where most of everything kind of starts to take off. Everybody starts making decisions that impact everything from that point on. I feel like it's a great spot, kind of right in the middle. Very close to the middle.
So this is where in the 4 spot for me, this is where I'm going to differ from you guys pretty much. I have season 5 here. I think you guys are crazy. I think season 5 is very strong. Like really strong. I have no issues with the High Sparrow stuff because I think the payoff that you get for that storyline more like
you don't get the payoff in season 5.
Doesn't matter. You have to lay the foundation. You have to lay the foundation before the house is built. Josh, get a grip, grow up. And I think that season 5 is excellent. Hard Home, one of the best, probably top 5 episode in the entire show.
That's a bit overkill.
No, I think season 5 is peak, near peak Game of Thrones. Obviously, John getting murdered. I mean, there's so much good shit here. It's unbelievable.
John getting murdered is good. That was the best part.
Yep.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, right here I got season 2. I just like the politics part of it. I mean, the Danny storyline does kind of suck in season 2, but I really do dig the politics and everything that's going on with the crown, with Joffrey, with Rob rising up. I like all that part.
This is where I have season 7. I thought season 7 was so much better on this. And I really enjoyed it the first time through. I liked it just as much this time through.
All right. Well, I know that Jason also has my top 3 in his top 3. I just don't know the order. So here we go. My number 3, season 4, I think is like, I mean, these number 1, 2, and 3 are pretty much all kind of equal. But season 4, excellent. I mean, the Mountain versus the Viper.
Red Viper. Yeah.
So good. Memorable scene. Tyrion's trial.
It's by far the best Tyrion season. Like it never gets better than that.
Yeah, I mean you get Joffrey fucking biting the dust. It's just like every episode is must see television. Season 4, undeniably great.
Yeah, I got season 7 right here. I just, season 7 is cool because everybody finally starts kind of coming together. Everything that's been building towards this one moment is finally all kind of happening. She makes landfall in Westeros, right? Like, I don't know. There's something about this season that I really, really like.
Correct. In the number 3 spot, I have season 3. Great season. Lots of. I think the Jamie Brienne storyline is fantastic in season 3. I love season 3. My top 3 really could change, like, all 3 spots from one to the other if I wanted to.
Yeah, Jason, I do agree. Season 3 is, or what did you say? You said season 3, right?
Yeah.
Season 3 is.
I think season 3 is solid. That's why I have it as my number 2. I think season 3 is amazing. It's also really probably the most depressing season. In terms of this, I think all the good guys take the most L's in season 3, at least the main ones at that point in time. Stark's completely, eviscerated in this season. I believe this is the Theon torture season as well, which is pretty brutal. Man, but just fantastic writing. And then, I know the Red Wedding might get overly talked about, but man, no, if you weren't a book reader, you just did not even remotely see that coming. I don't think.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see it coming. I've got season 4 here. Just the strength of Tyrion, his whole storyline for the season. Like you mentioned, the Red Viper. Just so much good stuff. Joffrey dying.
See, this is number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have season. Oh God, these are interchangeable. So, if you ask me tomorrow, I could switch my mind. But today, my number 2 is season 6.
Thought it was gonna be a sweep.
I know.
Almost. Season 6 is so good. There is so much.
I agree.
Great content in there.
The last 3 episodes of season 6 might be they're probably 3 of the top 6 episodes in the show, top 7.
Yeah. I just, like I said, the scene where Daenerys finally rolls up on the dragon on Jaime's army.
I think that's in season 7. Isn't it?
I thought that was at the end of season 6.
No, I don't think that happens in season 6. I think that's in season 7. I feel like Danny's on the boat heading over to Westeros at the end of season 6.
Yeah, she's on the boat with John.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
you're right. That one is season 6 is isn't that the?
That's the Winds of Winter.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
explosion of the Sept.
Sept of Baelor.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about season 6, it's to me, it is as good as everything else has been. Season 6 is a cut above the rest. I think it stands alone. Season 6 is the best television that has ever been written. It is to Josh's point. The last 3 episodes alone are just so good, and the season finale, that opening 20 minutes of that show is pure art. It's so good. And then the music, I don't know. I could gush over season 6 forever, but it's number 1 for me.
Yep.
Same.
I went with number 4, season 4, the Tyrion season. I think.
It's really solid.
Yeah, I love everything about the Tyrion situation during that entire season. The trial, you're rooting for Oberyn. He gets his head caved in. You think all is lost. Then Tyrion comes through with the clutch. Jaime with the save. And then Tyrion kills his father. It's all great. It's all fantastic. Love it. But like I said, season 4 and 6, literally a tie. I could have had it either way.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, those 3, 4, and 6 are just ridiculous.
Fantastic.
They're all good choices. So which houses do we think? What was the biggest fall in terms of houses for season 7 and 8?
Oof.
Targaryens, right? I mean,
I don't know. I mean,
Dany's dead, and Jon's been exiled.
I mean, I'd gotta go
Two
Lannister
dragons
here.
dead. Lannisters? Yeah.
I'm
mean,
going Lannister as well.
I mean, she lost the throne. Jamie dies like an idiot.
Guys.
Cersei dies.
Cersei dies.
Yeah,
Her
they all
kid.
die.
Her kid dies. You know, Euron's kid.
Tyrion.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Tyrion gets locked up in a cell for a little while.
Yeah.
He ends up as hand of the king.
He does. But
Yeah, I think the Lannisters certainly get wrecked.
They do.
rightfully so.
Yeah. She hadn't married Euron yet, right?
No.
No.
Okay.
I don't
so
think
him
she was.
dying
I don't
doesn't
think she
also
was
count
ever
as losing a Lannister.
I'm not sure she was ever actually going to marry him, but you know that is a debate. I'm assuming.
The only thing I wish had happened with that situation is that Jamie had leaned over and told him, "Hey, it's not your kid in there." As he walked off as he's bleeding to death from his gut wound.
Yeah, like he got stabbed twice. I forgot he got stabbed 2 times. Like there was no way Jamie was going to live.
No, he wasn't.
No. What about the house with the biggest rise? Gotta be Stark.
Stark for sure. I mean, they took over everything.
You got a Stark of the Six Kingdom, King of the Six Kingdoms. You got a
Queen of the North.
Of the North. Jon is Lord Commander again. It would seem.
Yep.
So I mean, they're running things. So
Jon gets his own show.
Yeah. Arya is one of the baddest women on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Arya kills the
sailing
Night King.
west of Westeros.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not a flat Earth and she just doesn't like fall off the side.
That's true.
Yeah, Arya's got a good. I mean, she's got a good list of people she kills. I mean, the Night King, Littlefinger,
All the Freys, like every one of them.
Yeah, the entire Frey family.
Yeah, I would have. God, I just like. In retrospect, after seeing how Cersei dies, and I would argue that's a pretty. It's a pretty easy death for Cersei to be able to die in Jaime's arms with the rocks coming down and everything.
Oh, like it is. Lame as shit.
We deserved Arya like cutting out her eyes, cutting her head off, cutting her tits off. I mean, the whole
Jesus,
thing.
bro.
I just wanted. All I wanted was Tyrion to be standing there when it happened. That's it. That's all I wanted. Is when she died, the last person she saw was Tyrion.
I mean, but in reality, I don't think he wanted her to die, though.
No,
I don't think he cared about her. He cared more about Jamie.
I agree.
Wait.
I agree. He cared more about Jamie, but I really don't think he wanted her to die. In reality,
I don't know. I just the way that I interpreted it was he didn't. Okay, so to your point, I'll give you a little bit of credit that maybe he really didn't want her to die. But I don't ultimately think he cared. I think what the real anguish and pain for him was he knew Jamie loved her.
yeah,
And
like a moron,
yeah, and he wanted Jamie to be happy.
man.
And
Everybody,
if he could save Jamie and Cersei for Jamie, then he was going to do it.
you know, everybody complains about how like, oh, they assassinated Dany's character, which is actually completely untrue. I'm sure we'll get to it later, but they assassinated Jamie's character, like him just turning tail. Anyway, it's like does the stupidest shit ever. Anyway, sorry, Josh, I didn't want to derail your stuff here.
No, you're okay. So what was the worst storyline of the season or the 2 seasons? Oh, one more thing. Can we say like as far as houses that fell, is the Night King? Is that a house?
The White Walkers.
No, the entirety of the White Walkers are all dead.
I don't know. I mean, they're not really a house, but I guess they could be.
Faction. I don't know.
The unexplained powers of the Night King, because that storyline was just swept right under the fucking rug after the Night King took that dagger, and they're like, all right, we're done with this.
I mean, that thing. I understand what you're saying, but it's not unlike some things that we've seen in other movies, whether it's vampire movies or other strange movies like that. In this situation, he keeps resin them. Like,
well, it's
when you kill the source, like you've seen it in Alien. You know,
nah, I get it.
Independence Day. I'm just saying, like in this situation, like when the army gets re-raised, like you're like, holy shit, dude, everybody's gonna die. And so they had to make it like that. So the Night King, his death led to the demise of every undead thing.
I'm fine with that. I guess in watching it again, I feel like we didn't really learn anything about the Night King that much, other than like he was somebody that the children of the forest made as a defense against the first men, and then he went crazy. But that's really all we got. Anyway, I digress.
I don't even, like I said, and the thing is, I don't even think he is that big of a deal in the books.
Well, he doesn't exist in the books. There is no Night King.
Correct. There is White Walkers, but they're
they don't even call them White Walkers in the books. They call them the Others.
Yeah, the Others. I think they have multiple names in the books.
Yeah.
Anyway. I would say, just to go further than the Night King, I would say the worst storyline is, in fact, the entirety of the White Walkers.
Yes.
I'm just, dude, like, zombie content is done. It's overblown. And look, it pulls away from what should be the main storyline, which is Danny going for King's Landing. So, like, it puts this whole pause on the whole thing. And then they're like, okay, now we did that. Now we got to hurry up and, get up to King's Landing, do the whole thing. And it's like, we could have had 3 more episodes of them fleshing that out.
Well,
Correct.
hey, we could have had 3 more episodes if they'd have just shot 9 episodes of the show, right? Mm-hmm. To your point. But, Josh, look, I agree with you for a different reason. I liked the White Walker storyline all the way up until the point that it ended with, I don't want to say little fanfare, because yes, they dedicated an entire episode to the battle, but again, we don't even really know what the fuck the deal was with them very much. It's all vague. Oh, they want to kill history, so they want to kill Bran. Why? 'Cause reasons. 'Cause magic. That's why. Shut up. Stop asking questions. And it's like, because it's so unsatisfying, that's why I think that storyline in retrospect sucks, because it, like, you just don't even know why it's happening, really.
Yep.
I'm gonna disagree and say it's the ever-present danger. That should unite the realm, but doesn't. And I love the Long Night episode. It is one of my favorite episodes. And I'm not a big, like, I hate zombie movies. I could care less about The Walking Dead. I think it's overdone. And I agree with Josh in that point. But in this, I enjoyed it.
Jason, do you have some alternate director's cut of that episode where you can actually see what happens?
I was gonna say, like, we have all these fans online that can, like, add bass to "And Justice for All." Surely somebody can, like,
add lighting
light to this episode,
so I can see.
I just turned down the lights in the house. I turned the brightness of my phone to full blast. Put my glasses on, and I watched it. And yes, it's dark. I think we can all agree that it's way too dark. But yeah. I don't know what the budget was for that episode.
But it wasn't in the lighting.
If you had too much light, you'd have had to spend way too much money on practical effects.
God,
why couldn't it just been a full moon?
That would have been nice.
Dude,
that would have been a nice backdrop.
I wish somebody, like, in the future, like before I die, where technology is like super extra and they can just edit that entire episode as if it was in the daytime.
Yeah, there is a YouTube video out there that it has at least edited the whole Arya Night King scene.
Oh, with brightness?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any problem with that scene either. It's mostly.
No, I mean, look, when the scene happened the first time, like, it was super tense. Fucking Arya comes out of nowhere, gives me the old okie doke.
Bro, where does she jump from?
But
Do you know where she jumped from? Because I don't.
the fucking 3-point line, bro. She was flying.
Dude, I know. Like,
jumped from one of the ramparts, Dave.
no. They weren't even close to a rampart.
You don't know. You have a map?
You know what? You're right. I don't know because I can't see.
Maybe she was in the fucking tree, Dave. It's a big tree.
You know what? You're right, Jason. Even though the wind ran past one of the whites that was on the ground, so she was definitely on the ground.
Running.
But she's clear. You know what? I forgot. She can jump 8 feet straight in the air. You're right. I forgot all about that.
Man, I mean,
She's an assassin.
We're talking about
she's like
world-class assassin.
LeBron James over here.
Yeah, LeBron James.
We got dragons and undead, but Arya can't fly.
I guess.
I mean, you guys seem to think fucking Vin Diesel and Paul Walker can't pull a bank vault through Brazil.
Bro, Paul Walker can't pull anything.
God damn, dude, he's pulling ass in heaven. All right, what's the best storyline of the 2 seasons? I think it's the political side, man. I think it's Dany coming for the throne. I mean, look, it certainly ends badly, but I think everything leading up to that, I think is the best. Like her and Jon building an alliance, really good. Like Cersei taking over the throne, and I don't know. I really like the 2 sides of that up until the end.
I agree with you, Josh, also for a different reason. Because I actually do think on the rewatch that they have foreshadowed and properly set up Dany's character, which is I was waiting for a moment to put that in there. That is one of the aspects of season 7 and 8 specifically. Because that's when everybody went crazy because, oh no, she heard the bells and went crazy. No, if you are actually paying attention, she's wanted to rule by fire and blood this entire fucking time. She just had people that talked her off of it, but now she has nobody. She's got no seatbelt anymore because all of her seatbelts are dead.
Jorah's gone, Missandei's gone. I mean, Tyrion's there, but
she doesn't trust Tyrion. Yeah, she doesn't trust Tyrion, and she
knows Tyrion let Jaime go in the night. Right?
Yeah, we have to believe she probably subtly has lost some trust and faith in Jon. She knows the Northerners, or she knows everyone in Westeros. Like she's learned because she says it. No one likes her in Westeros. They don't love her. They weren't They weren't waiting for her to return. They see her as a tyrant. She sees herself she sees herself as this liberator, and she's just going to liberate the whole fucking world. That's called a dictator for those keeping score. I think that storyline is the most interesting. Couple that with the Jon Snow shit, and he's Aegon Targaryen and all that. That's some good shit.
I'm gonna go outside the box just a little bit. I found season 7 and 8 the broad storyline of everybody coming together. Everybody eventually getting to Winterfell. These characters, especially.
Dude, I'd watch 3 episodes of them just shooting the shit and fucking Winterfell and playing drinking games and all that shit. I'd watch a whole season of that.
Yeah, that second episode,
it's like the real world.
Season 8. Yeah, the second episode of season 8, they're all just doing just basically what you said, just having a good old time for one last night, because they all know that the White Walkers are going to be there before dawn.
Yeah, and Brienne gets knighted, and
don't get us teary-eyed over here.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. All right, so I don't know. I guess where do we want to start here? Do you want to start with the White Walker side of this, or do you want to start with the Dany side?
You're in charge, Josh. Pick. Go for it,
man.
All right. So we see Jon and everybody go north of the Wall. They grab a White Walker. They bring him down to King's Landing, and they show Cersei and everybody what the fuck we're dealing with here.
Yep.
Right. And in that moment, Cersei seems like she's bought in, but she needs Jon to not be already tied to anybody yet, and he's like, "Oh hey, sorry, I already did that shit." Fucking like, fucking Star-Lord style. Yeah, fucking ruining the whole thing here. So Tyrion goes, tries to make amends, seemingly does, right? So when we leave this meeting, we all believe Cersei's sending troops. Did you guys, were you guys bought in on that? Did you really believe she was going to send the troops? I certainly did.
Absolutely.
I don't remember exactly what I thought the first time through. I think I was tentatively believing her, if I can remember
was under
correctly.
The impression, I remember thinking, like, is there a way in which we're able to not kill everybody at the end? Because Cersei's joining this, and then I mean, she just when she's talking to Jaime, she is talking to all of us that are watching the show. Because she's like, "Are you really that stupid?" And I'm like, "I guess I am."
So, one of the things Dave brought up was, kind of how they did a good job of foreshadowing Dany really wanting to rule by blood and fire, right? And the question I kind of had was was the ending actually bad, or did the show do a really good job of making you hate how she turned out?
I think there's two problems with this, because I think you're right to an extent. Problem is that Dany is propped up so well through the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons. She's made out to be like a great heel, to use a wrestling term. Like, every bad thing she does is justified. And even to the point where you feel like, I mean, she's justified. Like, when she crucifies the Masters, well, I mean, they deserved it, obviously. When she kills the traitors of the Unsullied, you're like, well, they're a bunch of evil bastards. All that stuff that they were saying to her, and they thought she was stupid because she was a woman, and she just kills them. And you're like, hell yeah, they deserved it. And so that's the way they prop her up. And the other problem is that the first time through, you're not binging it. So we watch Dany and we're rooting for Dany, and then we have a whole year off.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're just thinking Dany's going to be epic. Then you come back the next season, and she does things that are questionable, but again, you're on her side. You're right there with her. You're like, these fucking people deserved it. Like, when she destroys House Tully, was it evil? I wouldn't say it was evil. She gave them the opportunity to bend the knee.
Yeah.
The Tully father was a complete dumbass, and his son was even stupider.
Dickon.
Yeah, Dick. Dickon. Rickon. No, it's Dickon. But I mean, it's like I said, there's multiple things in play here, but I think one thing that made it more difficult for people to accept was the fact that you're rooting for her from day one, and the seasons were so spanned out. In fact, it was one that was like a year and a half wait.
Yeah.
That you just kind of lose track of where she is.
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, Tyrion, whenever Tyrion throws away the hand of the queen, and, he's put in prison, and he...
while it's still raining ash.
Yeah, and then Jon goes to see him. There's some lines in there that I think ring, they kind of made me pay attention more so, and I'm paraphrasing big time, but one of the things he says to Jon is, she liberated the people of Slaver's Bay and killed the slavers, and we cheered for her because the slavers were evil men. She liberated the politicians of Marine and killed them, and we cheered because the politicians were evil men, right? She liberated King's Landing, and she was cheered, and she's going to go on liberating until the people of the world are free, and she rules them all. And it's like, we as an audience are kind of like that too, the way the show is set up. She's really doing fucked up stuff but we cheer for her because the people that she's doing it to, we feel deserve it. And most of them, I think most of it is objective. They do deserve some type of justice. But Barristan Selmy mentions to her, like, at some point in the show earlier, about whenever she nails the people on the crosses, about how, like, you again, paraphrasing, but he says, sometimes you have to be just or whatever. You have to be, you have to be merciful. And she's never understood mercy. Like, never, not really, right? When she feels a certain way, like, that just is what it is. And I think all this time, she's kind of just, she's been playing the part that other people tell her to play. But in the end, she finally gets to be who she's always wanted to be. And I think a lot of fans just couldn't cope with that because they wanted her to be this great, like, this great savior. And in reality, she never really was that. Not really.
Yeah. Well, part of it, too, is every time she listens to somebody else, it fails.
Yeah.
Tyrion fails, Yara fails. I mean, it's every time.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is that early on, she takes counsel, she makes a decision, and it works out. And we cheer. But then she listens, and it fails. She doesn't listen, and it fails. So she listens, and it fails. She starts running this string of failures, especially poor Tyrion. Every time she listens to Tyrion in seasons 7 and 8, basically it's a failure. And when she chooses not to listen, when she chooses not to listen to him, it's still a failure.
Well, it's like, equating this to video games, she gets the cheat code eventually, which is dragons, right?
Yeah.
And basically, she gets to the point where, especially towards the end, where dragons become the solution. And then there's a saying, I hope I don't botch it up, but, when your only tool is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, right? So that's kind of what happens to her, where she has these dragons, and ultimately she knows that dragons will solve the problem. Now, it ultimately costs her 2 dragons in the end, but, because that's all she's got. She's essentially a one-trick pony, and I know people are going to hate on that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I felt going through it this time, I really felt more so that the show did a better job of making you just really upset with how it turned out versus her being poorly written.
Correct.
I agree.
All right. So, we do see... Well, let's do the Tyrion question. So, kind of following up on all that, and we're talking about Tyrion kind of taking a bunch of L's, right? But I mean, let's say you're Tyrion and you have the benefit of hindsight, right? And you can go back when you get named Hand of the Queen, right? What do you do differently to try and mitigate that, like to ensure that there's a better ending for Dany?
I thought about this. Okay, controversial take incoming.
Uh-oh.
I do what Dany wanted to do in the beginning, when she still has 3 dragons. I ask her to immediately, and actually old Olenna said the same thing.
Yep. Be a dragon.
Be a dragon. I would have her go when she has 3 dragons and immediately take King's Landing. Yes, you still have the White Walker thing that you have to deal with, but at that point she was at her peak with the dragons. And they hadn't gotten the scorpions all set up and everything like that. She could have flown. She literally didn't even need an army at that point. She could have flown.
She took down King's Landing with 1 dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
If she'd have flown over there with 3 dragons, she could have forced them to. She could have forced them to surrender. I don't think
there was no fleet. They had no fleet.
Yes.
No scorpions. Their army had no answers, and they were depleted.
Yeah. And that's still before Jorah's dead, Missandei's dead. So, I mean, you still have Dany in a good headspace.
Yes. She could have gone.
Probably doesn't burn King's Landing to the ground.
Yeah. Now she could have still taken some of her army, like if she'd have done it. But again, you just do it immediately, right? You do it right when she gets the Dragonstone. You know, let's go. We're gonna take King's Landing right fucking now.
Yeah, that's really the only thing that Tyrion could have advised that would have really changed the outcome long term.
Like, let's sack King's Landing. They're not going to be any match for 3 dragons, and we don't even have to kill anybody, really. Well, I mean, you probably end up having to, but you roll up on 3 dragons, her entire force is gone. She killed the Lannister army with 1 dragon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And they had
almost the entire army.
They had about 30 or 40 of those scorpions.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this scene whenever whenever she kills the Lannister army, whenever they have all the carriages and stuff out there, and you see Jaime charging Daenerys because he sees her on the battlefield, and Tyrion Seminary like, "You fucking idiot." Oh, dude, I love that scene so much. That's probably my favorite scene in the whole show.
Short of, I mean, that's really the only thing that you could do.
Bron's like, "What were you doing?" And he's like,
"Yeah, ending the war."
And he goes, "Did you not see the big fucking dragon?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because, man, if she does it then, I think the Dorne woman doesn't die. Olenna doesn't die.
Yeah, Highgarden doesn't get taken.
Highgarden doesn't get taken because they can't afford to. Jaime won't be able to take the Lannister army to go take Highgarden.
Because he's going to be burned alive.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah. So we see Jon Snow. We know he kills Daenerys. I'm sorry, Aegon Targaryen kills Dany. And look, man, Grey Worm doesn't like it. Okay, and he wants justice against Jon Snow. Here's the question: who wins in a fight? Who you got?
Ooh.
The Unsullied, other than one scene, the Unsullied have proven to be overrated.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Grey Worm's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, Grey Worm is the one. I would say the one Unsullied that actually does things, but my money's still on Jon Snow.
My money's also on Jon Snow.
I think so
it'd be a great fight, though.
It would.
Yeah, that's one. Like looking back, I wish we could have had. I wish he could have discovered Jon after he killed Daenerys, and you get like, I don't know, at least 5 minutes of a good fight before he's willing to make him understand or something.
Quick question. You're Jon Snow. You just stabbed Dany. The dragon picks her up and takes her off. Unsullied run in the room and said, "Hey, what the hell happened?"
Why don't you just tell him that Dany ran away, like flew away?
Exactly. I'm like, I don't know. She just the dragon, that her and the dragon just took off.
Like,
why is there a blood stain on the snow?
Because we fought people here. This was a war, stupid. Not you, Josh, but that's what I'd say to Grey Worm.
What blood?
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh, we're getting married. She went to go find a dress," and then that's it. Just fucking, and then you just peace out, dude. You just fucking bounce.
Is that Jon Snow's? Is that his accent?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good. That's real good. So one last question here, just kind of based around King's Landing and everything. So we know Jaime. He goes and gets Cersei, and they're trying to get out back to the little docks where he killed Euron, right?
Yep.
And he gets down there. It's covered up with rocks. They're fucked. They get crushed, and probably the least satisfying death in the whole series is Cersei getting killed by a pile of rocks when it should have been just like any version of 100 brutal deaths.
Yeah.
But what do you think happens if they actually do get out? Like, where do they go? How do they stay hidden, right? Do they also go like west of Westeros to see what's there, or are they going to go over across a narrow sea, go to the other side?
So, where does Tyrion recommend he goes?
Huh? Essos.
Essos.
Yeah. So in this scenario, I'm just gonna say that Euron dies in the ship, right? Like Jamie doesn't even get Jamie's not stabbed. He's not gonna die.
Yeah.
Man, that's an interesting question. Does Bran? Because if everything plays out the same, if Dany still dies and all that good stuff, does Bran? Bran doesn't go after them. I don't think.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody goes after them, honestly.
Does Cersei?
The Lannister army is already it's all. I mean, they're nothing. They're nobody anymore.
Yeah.
Does Cersei hold a grudge?
Yeah, I mean, does a hobby horse have a wooden dick?
Okay, so hold on. I'll right in the last moments, when she realizes the jig is up. I think all
I don't want to die.
That moment.
I want my baby to live. Bitch,
Exactly.
you could have left at
15
least 30, 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. So I don't think she has revenge on the mind. I mean, I could be wrong. But
Her and Jamie could have gone over to Essos.
Yeah.
Jamie could have gotten rid of the gold hand, and so he becomes a little less visible. And they could have just raised the kid, man.
yeah, and live the simple life.
Yeah.
Do you think Tyrion? Let's say Tyrion goes down and sees that they made it. Maybe. Oof. Jamie leaves the hand at the beach so that Tyrion knows that they made it out.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a gold hand. That's money.
I was about to say he could go sell that hand over there. And
Let's
probably live pretty good.
Let's just say he leaves some mark that Tyrion knows that they made it. Whatever that is.
He leaves his sword.
Sure, something. I think he'd probably want that to kill somebody. But, whatever. Call it what it is. In a few years, several years, whatever it is, does Tyrion try to track down his family just to see Jamie?
No,
Yes.
I don't think so.
Does he ask Bran to check on him?
Oh,
No,
okay.
Bran is Lord of Highgarden. He didn't even fight.
No, that's Bronn.
Oh, Bronn, yeah.
Bran the king.
Yeah, I'm sure Bran knows anything and everything.
No, what I'm saying is, do you think he asks him to check on him? Probably.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't think so.
I do. I like to live in the positive.
Okay. I don't think he cares.
Does he?
I think all that mattered to him is if they got away.
I don't know. I guess the only thing that I'm thinking of is, Cersei, a Lannister always pays their debts. And I feel like it's going to be hard for Cersei to let that go, right? And just live off in quiet and kind of do nothing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but
maybe the baby changes her.
Yes, I think she understood way too late that she was a complete moron in this whole decision to stand there and fight.
Dude, how many times did her hand, what's his name, Qyburn? How many times did Qyburn come up to her and be like, listen, hey, we're gonna die, right?
I mean, if you added up the amount of times that she was told that
it's time to go,
way you're going to, that you're not going to win, between Jamie, Qyburn, Bronn, and anybody else.
Dude, here's the thing. As soon as Qyburn told her, hey, all the Scorpions are gone.
Yeah.
Hey, the fleet is done. I think that was the first time that he came to her. Was that basically as soon as she found out that there was nothing left that was going to kill the dragon. At that point, she could have left, and you know what? I think if she'd have left then, she would have survived, and Jamie would have lived.
Maybe.
So what we're saying is Cersei did kill Jamie in a roundabout way.
I mean, look, Cersei is Cersei's decisions led to the death of just about everybody she held dear.
Yeah. You know, Jason, let's pivot here. Do you want to talk about a little bit about Bran the Grand Manipulator? I feel like now is a good time.
Well, it gets foggy because in season 7 and 8 he doesn't have a lot of screen time, so you can insert him in just about everything. The problem is, like what we discussed last week, is that in order for him to be the manipulator, he has to let certain things happen. Like, he has to allow the dragon, one of his dragons to be killed, or one of Dany's dragons to be killed. He has to allow for another one to get killed by Euron. He has to allow her to go crazy and destroy half of King's Landing, sacrificing, hundreds of thousands of innocent lives. But if you're looking at it from his point of view, he doesn't have any sentiment to the collateral damage, because it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
You can't have Dany on the throne, and Jon is the rightful heir, so you eliminate him because you know he's going to take out Dany.
Yeah, and I mean, we know he had an interesting conversation with Tyrion behind closed doors, which that's a whole other subject, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
We won't talk about it, but it's kind of silly that they didn't show it. But it adds a little bit of mystique and mystery. Presumably that conversation was,
especially when you see who it was that named Bran the Boring as king, was Tyrion, who then became Hand.
Yeah. So, just a quick, I don't want to go too far on this, but the quick theory that you and I kind of cobbled together due to the bad writing of this show, we got to do anything to keep it interesting. Basically, whenever he met with Tyrion, he was telling Tyrion his story. Now, you and I kind of differ a little bit on the specifics here, so I'll just give my point of view on it. I think he didn't explicitly partner up with Tyrion, like, hey, let's get this plan to get rid of Dany. I think ultimately Bran is the one who's the one in control, and I think Tyrion just kind of inadvertently played a part.
I agree.
Okay. I think Bran told Tyrion, hey, look, here's the story, here's the scoop on Jon, here's who Jon really is. And
he knew exactly what would happen.
Yes.
When the word got out.
Yes.
And he made sure
that the right people found out.
Right.
And you notice he also didn't want to be the one to tell Jon either. He wanted Sam to do it because he wanted it to come from somebody where Jon would trust it and really truly believe it. And if you notice, the people that found out were the people that all of them had something that they held against Dany. Now that I'm thinking about it, Sam, his dad and his brother were fried by Dany. Sansa never really trusted Dany, and then Tyrion was already on a teeter-totter because his friend got roasted, right? So you have all these people
here doing some certain things.
You had all these people who kind of had not a vendetta against her, not necessarily, but, Arya wasn't trusting of her either, and she found out. And Varys, all these people who really just, again, the right people who didn't truly trust Dany. And I think this was all so that Jon would be motivated because he's the only one who could get close enough, right? Basically, they sort of turned Jon into this living Trojan horse, if you will. And I think it's weird to think of him as a Trojan horse because a Trojan horse is hollow inside, and Jon is also hollow since he doesn't have a heartbeat. I'm dead serious.
Okay.
Right? Because he's dead. He died.
Was dead. He's only partly dead.
Well, he was revived by the Lord of Light. I get that. Or actually, we're not even really. I mean, that's what the show says, but that's actually debatable. But we'll get into that. I'm just going to leave that one alone. But it's. I just think it's very interesting to think of Jon Snow as this Trojan horse, and it sort of, kind of, it makes sense in a way because again, he's not all the way alive anymore.
The problem with Jon Snow is that he's a man of honor.
Yeah.
And if you know what buttons to push, you already know the outcome. And Danny hit the buttons, and more than once.
Yeah.
And Tyrion knew exactly what to say to Jon to get the desired reaction.
It's like calling Michael J. Fox a chicken.
Correct. Like, you just don't do that.
You don't. So, Josh, what's the next? We got rapid fire, or you got another burning question here?
Last question I have before we kind of get into just naming who our top 5 characters are. What was the hardest death in the whole series? Like, what was the hardest one for you to cope with?
Initially, it's Ned, and it's the most difficult because Ned is like, he is the prototype, like, hero of the story. You expect him to be like the man throughout this entire show, and especially when you've rewatched it multiple times, you start seeing the mistakes he's making. But it's not that he's ignorant. It's just he lives by this code and this honor, and he just expects that that's the way the world works. And it's like you admire him so much, and you get to that moment where he's on the chopping block, and you're like, well, I mean, somebody's going to save him. Like, somebody's going to step in. Like, somebody's going to, oh my God, his head just got lopped off. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
It's tough.
I have like 3 deaths that are really bad. I would say the one that affected me on the rewatch. I can't possibly go back and do how I felt initially. It's just I don't remember specifics. But on the rewatch, the Hound.
Fuck you, Dave. God damn it.
Because I think the Hound's story arc and character arc is so well done, and they get it right. They really get it right. I think it literally takes full circle in that last conversation he had with Arya for him to fully transform into the man that he needed to be. Yeah. Now every character is flawed in Game of Thrones for the most part, and that's kind of the point.
Ask the butcher's boy how great Hound is.
Hey, look, that was early days. Clegane, that was the Hound. Oh, the Hound. The man that died was Sandor Clegane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, that was
my choice.
And the Clegane Bowl, while definitely fan servicey to a degree. I mean, like, they're literally fighting with dragons flying, a dragon flying over them and stuff. And
I mean, the mountain has a dagger through his eyeball.
Yeah, into the back of his head. Like, it's borderline silly, but man, that death, like, and you see it coming because you know exactly what's about to happen, and it's just like part of you just wishes he was grab on.
Hopes there's a chance
that he would just grab on at the last second and not die.
I feel like I knew it was over whenever he started getting his eyes punched out.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's not going to make it through this.
Yeah. And he's like, just fucking die, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that's so good. Other 2 honorable mentions, Jorah. Jorah was pretty brutal. And Robb Stark, only because I picked him to win the Game of Thrones, and boy, was I wrong.
And his wife. That death is absolutely brutal.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, look, since you took the Hound from me, I'm gonna go with one that was still, even though you barely knew this guy, it was still very impactful. Which was, and I can't remember his name, but it was the guy that ran the little church that the Hound had joined.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy from
The guy from Deadwood.
Deadwood. God, he's so good in that.
Yeah. And the guy from John Wick too. So, I mean, him dying because Sandor, he's kind of trying to turn a new leaf. He's a little bit more calm, and then he sees this dude like just hanging there, and that sends him back down the path.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey, last thing, rapid fire here. I need it in order. Your top 5 characters. Starting with number 5. We don't have to go back and forth. Just give me 5 to 1.
Jason,
I can go first if you guys need time. Okay.
Yeah, I need just a tiny bit of time here.
I'll go first.
I didn't know I was going to have to order them, so.
Number 5, the Hound. Number 4, Jamie. Number 3, Arya Stark. Number 2, Jon Snow. Number 1, Tyrion Lannister.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
All
right.
Go ahead, Josh.
All right, I got Brienne of Tarth in the 5 spot.
Good
I've
choice.
got Tormund Giantsbane. I've got Jaime fucking Lannister. I've got Sir Bronn of the Blackwater in the 2 spot. And I got the Hound, number 1.
Good job. You went away from the main characters.
Yeah, I didn't. I actually have the same 5 as Jason, but not in that order. So I got the Hound at number 5, and I have Tyrion at 4 because they messed up his character, I think.
Yeah, 7 and 8. Season 7 and 8 is difficult.
I have Jamie at 3, which also would be higher, except again they ruined the end of his arc, in my opinion. And no, my number 2 is a surprise for me because I was not as high on her coming into originally watching it. But dude, Arya's storyline is so good, and I know you both think so. But like, I forgot how good the her becoming no one and a faceless man, like that's just such good ass shit. And then it's Jon Snow at number 1. I mean, who has a better story than Jon Snow?
Bran the Broken.
Bran the Boring.
Yeah. Why do you think I came all this way, bitch, with your fake mullet?
I don't know. Like, you didn't come all this way. Somebody had to push your dumbass.
I know.
Oh my god. Can't the 3-eyed raven like warg like some birds or something to like fly?
Can he warg into somebody to give him a better haircut?
Yeah.
Some working legs.
Look, dude, how fun was this going back and getting a chance to talk about it on the pod and getting to rewatch the whole series? I think it was even better than I thought it was going to be. So I'm super happy we did this.
Absolutely.
And man, dude, I'm fucking super hyped up for House of the Dragon. What about you guys?
I cannot wait. I hope the whole thing leaks and I'm going to watch it all. Just kidding, guys. I'm not.
I'm looking forward to not having to watch a full season.
To grind a bunch of,
and just marinate on what they're giving us.
Oh, yeah.
Have the whole week to watch it. Well, I won't have the whole week because we'll be doing the podcast within 24 hours.
Next day.
But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I know vaguely bits and pieces of the history, but not enough to spoil it. So it's all going to be new to me.
Yeah. Well, good news, guys. So we do have House of the Dragon coming up next week. We're doing an episode a week as it drops, and we're going to be doing it the day after it drops. So you're going to get some pretty quick reactions to the show if you watch us on YouTube, if you watch the pod. Maybe it's next year. I don't know.
Maybe.
But, hey, in the meantime, thank you guys for joining us on this journey. We look forward to seeing you guys in the House of the Dragon, man.
Take it easy,
Live long and
everybody.
prosper.
Later.
See you.